Community organizers, Gary Kleinfelter with Irrigreen is here to present, and it's our pleasure to give Gary a standing ovation, a warm 1 million cup seat of Prairie welcome. Welcome, Gary.
Thank you. Thank you for coming out and braving the cold. Irrigreen is bringing disruptive innovation to irrigation. Let me tell you why. Have you thought about how much money we spend on water in the U.S.? $100 billion. Think about that, $100 billion that we spend on water, and we largely take it for granted. We expect that water just to keep running. It's going to come out of the tap every day, and yet reports would tell us that in our largest 50 cities, we're going to have water problems, not too distant future. Already the rates are going up faster than the rate of inflation. And where's all that water going? It's going on the lawns that we love, our American dream, those green lawns that we get excited about. And you may not realize that we use half of our water outdoors. And the systems that we use today to water our grass are horribly inefficient, sometimes just 30 to 40% efficient. And the reason for that is it's a mechanical system. It's the same technologies they've been using for the last 40 years. Somebody comes out to your home and they handcraft a system that involves with thousands of SKUs, different sprinkler bodies, different nozzle sizes. It's a one-time system for your lawn. Everyone is different. So maybe there's a better way. How could we use software to change this, to make it more efficient, to really have an impact on the water use of these systems? Think about what's happened in other industries, like your film camera turning into a camera in your phone and using Facebook and Snapchat, or Uber. I mean, what a way to change who it means to be a taxi driver today. Well, that's what Irrigreen has done. We've created an automated system for your lawn, starting at the edge with a sprinkler in your lawn that's smart, that waters the landscape shape. We connect that through a wire back to an Irrigreen controller, connect it to the cloud in your phone. We can use your phone to set the system up, program it to the shape of the landscape, and that system cuts water use by 50%. Think about that. 50%. We're having this large amount of water that we're using on our lawns, and we can cut that in half. The reason is these mechanical systems of the past, they overwater, they overspray. They're actually designed to go head to head and water over each other. They put too much water in the middle of the landscape. And of course, they're not very precise. You've all seen that with the water running down the street. What Irrigreen does that's different is we have a patented nozzle design that shoots the water out into the landscape in streams. Think about like the fountains at Bellagio. You know, we're actually putting that water exactly where it's needed. We can program it to the shape of the lawn. We really water from the inside out. It's completely different than the old mechanical systems. And the person that puts it in doesn't have to understand all of the nuances of the different sprinkler types because it's software computed. We have software computed water distribution, just like rainfall. So here you can see the sprinkler in action. You see the streams coming out, larger streams farther away, closer in, you see smaller streams. It follows the edge of the landscape. That's part of the programming you do on the phone. And you can see it makes a nice hairpin turn. Is it going to get around the corner? Is it going to get around the corner? We're good. The great thing about this, besides saving water, though, is it's not more complicated. You'd think about, oh, new technology, it's going to be hard to put in, it's more complicated. Well, actually, it's not. It's much simpler because our one-size-fits-all head goes into the landscape in a place of, 5, 6, 7, 8 traditional heads, and you program it on your phone. You don't have to have all that tribal knowledge of all the different nozzle types and all the different SKUs. That one-size-fits-all head goes in the center of the lawn and you program it with your phone. And think about all the holes you don't have to dig and all the pipe you don't have to lay. It's amazing. We're only 255 feet of pipe, and this system goes in 3 times faster than traditional systems. Think about that. If you're a contractor and you can now do more business because you can be more efficient, putting these systems in much faster. And the price, it's about the same. So we trade off the labor for more expensive parts, but the overall consumer price is very similar. And it's not just me telling you that there's water savings. We've actually got proof. We have done a lab test at the Center for Irrigation Technology, the guru of the irrigation industry, that shows against best-in-class systems that we save 40% in terms of the gallons. And this last summer, we had a gentleman who is really an irrigation guru. He decided to put Irrigreen in place of a best-in-class mechanical irrigation system. Look what happened to his water bills. He goes from the blue bars in 2016 down to the green bars and that's just one lawn. He saved, I think the total now, Ray, is 80,000 gallons. There you go. Think about, so if you want to visualize that, think about you've got a long highway and you've got 5-gallon pails. It's 3 miles worth of 5-gallon pails. That's how much water he saved in one summer. We've got proven traction, over 200 installations in 50 contractors in 20 states, and this is a large market, plenty of room to grow for Irrigreen. And one of the things we've learned in our first 2 years of working through distribution is that we have these water savings and we can sell them. If we look at some of the drier places like Denver and Texas, the actual savings in water per year for a traditional average size home is $1,000. And the system only costs $4,000 or $5,000. Think about that. You'd be crazy to put in solar before you put in an Irrigreen system in terms of the dollar savings. If we all did this throughout the country, we'd actually have $45 billion in water savings in 5 years. That's pretty impactful. And one of the things that we're going to do to drive this in the next year is we're going to start doing some direct marketing. So what I'm saying is we've been out there, we've got distribution, we've got contractors. They don't always scale. It doesn't always translate to lots of installations because they're not used to doing that. They're not used to selling. They usually, it's kind of a referral business. You know, if I want a contractor to put in an irrigation system in my lawn, I go to my neighbor and say, okay, who did you use last? It's really not a sales business. So kind of like Jet Black coming down the street and saying, you know, putting the postcard in the mail, that's what Irrigreen's going to do. So we're going to work with some of our best contractors. We're going to actually sell direct to the homeowner and put the system in. We're also going to include in the first time installation a subscription fee so we can monitor that through the internet. So we're not only say that we're going to save you $5,000 or $1,000 I should say, but we're also going to monitor that system and make sure you get those savings. So that's really exciting because as we go forward, we can actually take those connected customers then and monetize them. So if you can imagine a situation in the future where we have a sensor in a lawn and you need to fertilize your lawn, we can tell you when you need to do that and offer you services like connect with this contractor, give you a deal at Home Depot. So not only are we helping you save water on your lawn, we're connecting with you and helping you enjoy the outside. So while Google, Amazon, and Apple are fighting for the inside of the house, we'll be helping you with the outside. Thank you very much. So,
Gary, great presentation. Go ahead.
and so some of the things that we're looking for, and you know, this is, as Patrick said, what's the value in helping as a community? So the things that we're looking for are, we haven't done this direct marketing before. Well, we've dabbled in it. And so if there's somebody who actually had been through this exercise of going into a fairly conservative market that wasn't used to selling, and then selling and having success, that's something we would be interested in learning about your experience. We are raising a new angel round, so I'm out visiting with whoever I can find an opportunity to visit with. I think most of you know that if you're raising money, it's kind of like getting a job. It's who can I talk to next that might lead you to somebody else that you can talk to next. So I'm looking for opportunities to share what we're doing as a company in that regard. And so those are some of the things that we're interested in as a company. And I'd be certainly interested in your feedback as well.
Excellent.
Two
Yeah.
questions right away. One, how are you mapping the boundary of the yard so the sprinkler knows where to stop spraying? The other thing is you say you look at weather data to know when or when not to water, right? But are you taking into account other factors such as soil and the saturation levels of that soil?
Yes, we do. We've got several different things that we can do on a property, one of which is monitor the weather data. We can also put in soil moisture sensors that turn off the system when it's too wet. So we recommend those because they're all of those pieces help with the efficiency. No one of them really is the magic bullet. And in terms of the phone operation, I know I don't spend a lot of time on that in the presentation, but basically what you do with your phone is you say, I want to turn on the water shoots out, and I use a plus key to move the water streams back and forth, or a rotate key to move them around this way, and then I save a point. So like in this room, I might save a point over in the corner, a few points along the circle here, another point in the corner, and then it follows that shape.
Sure.
So it takes about 5-10 minutes to program an area, like say your front yard. In my yard in Eden Prairie, my front yard is a zone. So to program that zone takes about 5 or 10 minutes.
And I just have one other question to start up. Is there a way to inject like liquid fertilizer into the system?
Absolutely. So fertigation, that's called, has been going on for a number of years. It hasn't caught on real well. And I think part of the reason is that the overlapping and overspraying isn't really very efficient. So you can actually put a tank on the system, you can control it with a valve, and that can actually be part of your irrigation process. Now, we don't have a lot of experience with it as yet, because like I said, it's not real common in the market, but I definitely think it's an opportunity. Yeah.
A couple things. First of all, retrofitting, is that part of your plan, and what would be involved for the customer in that? And I'll just make one question now, so I don't talk, and then I'll ask later.
Okay, so we have kind of 3 different ways we go to market. There's a lot of salons that don't have irrigation systems where we put systems in. A building opportunity where there's no lawn because it's a new construction, and then aging systems. So this is a case where the system doesn't work very well, and we want to put in a new system. Now, if you were saying, okay, I want the ROI, you're going to spend some capital getting that ROI. So whether a consumer would do that if their system doesn't really need it right now is a tough question. So we're not looking for that business. We're really looking for consumers that want to replace their business, they have an existing yard, or there's or maybe they're green, but just something that gets us going in terms of early adoption. We don't expect to be mainstream right away. That'll take time.
Is that just a matter then of unplugging the water source, or do you have to dig up pipes, or?
Yeah, so for a retrofit, the sprinklers may not be in the right place. Most contractors would say, I'll just run a new main line because I want to put them in the center of the yard. Yeah.
It doesn't hurt the yard to just leave the old.
No. And then certainly we have opportunities on the bigger scale as we go forward as a company. The sales cycle is longer, but you think about home builders, putting in all of Irrigreen in a home site, or HOAs where we can actually save them a significant amount of water dollars each year. So an HOA management company could say, well, I'm going to save this HOA of mine money. They got to replace their system anyway. Let's go Irrigreen. So we're looking at opportunities like that. I'm sorry.
Does your system have any component that could recycle rainwater from the home's gutter system?
Let me comment on a couple aspects of that. Down in Florida, we're actually looking at systems where they'd actually take stormwater and use it for irrigation. So that works. When you talk about using on-premise rainwater, it's a little bit complicated. You have to have a pretty good sized reservoir, and then you have to have a pump to pump it into the system. But that does work. What people don't realize is what you get on your roof. Let's say you take everything on your roof and put it in a reservoir. Is probably not enough to do all the irrigation you need to do, so you'd have to supplement with water anyway. But it certainly reduces your water use.
The reason I'm asking is solar panels don't provide all the electricity people need, but consumers buy them anyway.
Yeah.
What I heard you say is you have a sales problem, correct?
Yes.
I developed software for the home remodeling industry back in the 90s pretty successfully, 50 of the top 100 in the nation were using my stuff. My client in central Illinois, Dick Rainey, has a list of 100,000 consumers who have spent money doing gutter work with him over 25 years. His list would be valuable to you, and think about this. These are people who have a water handling problem on their property. You're thinking about a water bill problem. They're thinking about a water handling problem.
Yeah. Great idea. I'll
We should talk
catch
about
up
that later. I
afterwards.
don't wanna take up
Yeah,
any more
thank
time
you.
if other people do this,
Yeah,
but,
I'll hang around afterwards.
Your direct marketing, you should be talking to not only landscaping companies, but also gutter companies.
Yeah, great idea. Thank you. So that's the kind of tidbit that, is really great for us because, we don't have a lot of money to go to market with in the first place. So finding ways to leverage something that somebody's already done is fantastic.
A lot of these people will give up their list just for a non-monetary consideration.
Yeah, that's excellent.
How did your, the profit, you mentioned a profit up there, how does that compare to what the existing profit margins are for the irrigation companies? Because it's great that it's homeowner savings, but if you're targeting the contractors and they're going to make less, you're going to have to overcome that hurdle. Why change my model and make less money for the benefit of the homeowner unless you can show significant growth?
Yeah,
How are you targeting that?
so the contractor himself would make the same amount of profit, but he's trading labor dollars for material dollars. So he doesn't need the same number of people. Now, in many areas of the country, that's actually a good thing because they can't find the people, especially good ones that are good craftsmen. So that's one part of it. But one of the really interesting things, you compare us with a company like Toro, let's say, that sells irrigation. At the sale, they make a couple $100 a profit, all considered, because their stuff is really inexpensive. We make more like $1,500 a profit. So our ability to go out and do the advertising and still be profitable as a company is really good. So that's the neat thing about bringing in more materials on our side and trading off with labor is we get more profit that we can put back into trying to sell the system and selling the water savings, which, they don't have any water savings to sell, so they're not interested in that aspect in that sense.
And I'll jump in here for a second, but one of the things that the system does, the number one pain point in landscape industry has been for the last several years is labor shortage. Getting guys that want to work in irrigation and landscaping in general, it's the biggest problem. Contractors can't keep good help. But what our system does is it literally doubles their capacity. Because right now a contractor that's got 10 guys can only put in 50 systems. You start putting an Irrigreen that go in 2 to 3 times faster, we double their capacity, which means they now have the capacity with the same payroll to do twice as many jobs, thereby doubling their revenue or more. And we've seen that happen.
And that's where the sales piece breaks down. It doesn't necessarily mean they're used to selling more.
Right.
So that's where we come in. We need to help them move that along and teach them in many cases how to do it. So, go ahead.
Is this just for home lawns, or could it be used on golf courses, baseball fields?
So,
parks?
in our mind, home lawns is the easy way to get started. Yes, it has the ability to scale up into a lot of different opportunities that probably have a longer sell cycle. And in golf, we would need to build a larger version of our sprinkler, but that's straightforward, simply a matter of more money. Yeah.
What about preventive maintenance or maintenance generally? Obviously, with less equipment to maintain, that's a real potential cost savings.
Mm-hmm.
But is there more or less preventive maintenance involved?
Our experience so far is it's pretty similar, really, in terms of preventive maintenance. But one of the key things that we look at when we look at, say, selling to an HOA, is we can do on-demand maintenance because we can tell you when there's an issue. So what happens today is they send a crew out looking at these mechanical sprinklers. So which one broke?
You're going to know before the client does.
Yeah, exactly. And we can send the crew out on demand and save the money. So that's really the beauty of having a software system throughout. Go ahead.
You said that you're looking for direct marketing in the future, right?
Yeah.
Until now, you've just been working directly with contractors, right? Like you just like have a directory of contractors and like you try and sell to the contractor.
It's actually a little bit different than that. We sell through distribution, who has a relationship with contractors. We train them. We get to know them after the the connection with the distributor, and then cultivate that relationship. It's similar, but it really starts with the distribution channel.
What's an example of a distribution channel?
So, for instance, one of the larger ones used to be John Deere Landscape. They're called Site One.
Oh, okay.
So what people don't realize is contractors don't typically go buy their stuff from Home Depot and Menards. They actually buy it from irrigation distribution houses, and they're all over the place. But nobody knows that because they're a warehouse someplace, and the contractor shows up, buys the stuff, and puts it in the same day. So he doesn't. They really are a stocking instrument, so they don't have to hold any stock in their
So you
premises.
wouldn't have to spend too much time on marketing to contractors yourself? You
We-
just sell
we
it
still
to
do-
distributors and
we
then
still
they all
do.
work for you?
We still do both. Yeah, we still have to do both.
Okay.
But the next step really is to market to consumers and pull in those opportunities for contractors.
Time for one more question? Go ahead, Sean.
I thought the video of the water actually going through the kind of like a jagged edge was the most impressive part of the slide. I mean, just that alone, I think, captured what you're trying to do. I wonder if you can do more of that, maybe just more of.
Yeah, and the only reason it's so short is just to fit it into the presentation. For instance, yeah. Yeah. In fact, if you go to our website, the first thing that's on the website is a 3-minute video. So, yeah.
When I saw that, my impression was your advertising slogan could be the Roomba for your lawn.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is.
Yes, well, thank you so much for your questions.
Well, let's give a round of applause to Gary. And Gary, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And